Uh,
I'm
awesome.
sorry, I just pressed the recording. I should have done that before.
No worries. We're getting to the good part anyways. It's the tools. You'll want to remember them anyways. Um, so with the tools, orienting is the first tool that I want to introduce. This is a great, and there's a lot of different ways to do orienting, but it's basically engaging one or more of your senses, but I'll teach you a simple one, a simple way. And it's great for when we're first introducing slowing down to our system, slowing down in our mind. It helps create that safety in our body. It helps our body find safety. It helps calm our nervous system. And also, it's a good one to know because when we do start to slow down in our life or in our work, um, some of that can cause some activation or triggering or some anxiety or some discomfort. Again, like I said earlier, because we aren't used to going slower. We aren't used to taking the time for ourselves. And also, when we slow down, it also just brings up some stuff that is just underneath the surface. So anything that we've been pushing away or using like hustling or just pushing through work or people pleasing or anything else that we've been using to mask some of these things that are just underneath the surface. When we slow down, some of that stuff may come up, and that is totally normal. And that's why I love starting with the practice of orienting because it's simple and you can do it anywhere at any time. And it's like giving your nervous system a giant hug. And think of someone when you're having a hard time and you just want them to wrap their arms around you. That is what orienting does for the nervous system. And you can actually give yourself that support. Um, so we're going to do it right now. I invite you to do it with me. I will explain it as we're doing it, but basically, it's just we're going to scan one side of the room. We're going to engage our sense of sight, and we're going to scan one side of the room from top to bottom very, very slowly. And as I'm doing, I'm like going from top to bottom, just starting to scan the room that I'm in very slowly. And if something catches your eye and you want to linger on it, feel free to do that. Let your eyes take the lead there. And if your brain is like, my office is a mess or this is weird, that's totally okay and normal. Just keep doing it and slowly scanning the room. Again, like I said, if it's the first time we're slowing down in a really long time, it may bring up some stuff, some tears. That's totally normal. It's not, you don't need to, but that just happens. So we're just going to want to let our body push out whatever it wants to push out and just slowly scan one side of the room up and down. And then when you've scanned the other side of the room, we're going to do or when you've done that side, we're going to do the other side of the room. And as you do this, you may notice yourself yawning or taking spontaneous deep breaths. That is just your nervous system calming down, coming back to homeostasis, becoming grounded. And then when you're done scanning both sides of the room, then we can just come back to present. Um, Again, this doesn't have to be for a long time. It can just be for a minute or two. Sometimes we may need to do it more than once. But how was that for everybody? I know we did it really quickly. Again, I invite you and encourage you to do it a little bit slower than that. And it's all again creating and finding that safety in your body and helping your nervous system calm down. And this is something that you can do before a big presentation or before a big meeting that you're about to walk in to. And again, you can do it anywhere. You can do it in your office. You can do it while you're walking down the street. Don't do it while you're driving. That's the only caveat. Please don't do that. But I also invite you to not only do it when you're like feeling activated or feeling anxious or stressed out, so do that, or before a big presentation, but it's also, like I said, this is one of these tools that we have to work it for it to work. So also do it and just take random breaks throughout the day. Like I do, I tell my clients to do this. I invite them, encourage them to do it regularly and daily throughout the day. I do it myself throughout the day, regardless if I have something, that may be activating for me going on. Um, just taking that 60 seconds or 2 minutes to do it, it just, again, creates a sense of safety in our body. And having a tool like this is just so helpful in so many aspects of life, of work, being a parent, going through a new experience, something we've never done before, or when we're feeling scared or anxious or irritable. Um, it's super helpful. And one of the other things I love about orienting is it actually helps us titrate the intensity of the emotion and helps us bring us back to the present. So when we start to slow down and revisit some of this and deeply heal our nervous system, having an orienting practice like this is just helpful because we can also pull out of the intensity and provide that safety for the body to revisit those things and the emotions that need to be processed. So again, like I said, orient at least once a day if you can. Practice it when you are feeling anxious, irritable as well too. But again, it may not feel like it's working, or you may not feel like you don't want to do it. I promise you just have to keep doing it to get a result from it. So any questions around orienting? I'll check the, awesome. I love that. This felt good. Reminds me of a body scan that you would do during a meditation rather than focusing. Yes, that's 100% true. Awesome, cool.
But what if you're getting random thoughts when you're...
That's okay. That's normal. That's going to happen. Our brain's going to like continue to do that. And I always say, and like with meditation, like just bring yourself back to what you're looking at. Bring yourself back to the scanning. When you notice like you're like you're starting to think about everything you have to do for the day or whatever, just bring it back to scanning the room and just being there for yourself. Anna, where does the term come from? You mean orienting? It's basically, so what I said, it's basically engaging one or more of your senses. I don't know where it actually comes from. It was introduced to me through Dr. Peter Levine, who is kind of like the godfather of some of this nervous system work. But I understand it as like, yeah, it's just engaging one or more of our senses. Hopefully that helps. But I will have to look up like where it actually, that actual term comes from. So, and then you're welcome. Wait, what shall we think during orienting? That's a very good question. Like I was telling Shruti, we're trying to just connect with our bodies and what's in the room. I'm not going to tell you not to think because that's just not possible. But, well, the more you do it, it becomes easier to just be. But again, it's just once we notice, it's the practice of starting to notice when we're starting to think about everything or everything we need to do or whatever, is just coming back to like looking at the room and the things and the objects in the room and scanning them. It will make more sense the more times you do this, because you will see that you're able to connect more. Again, though it is a practice, it does take some time to get comfortable with orienting and to be able to notice when you're like going on a train of thoughts and to come bring yourself back. So, all right, I will move on to the next tool. I know we're getting up to time, Shruti.
But it's okay since we are asking
Questions and okay, cool. All right, cool. Because I have two more tools to teach you.
Yeah. You were not sharing your screen, no?
No, not for these.
Good.
I had just had the agenda up, or I had the agenda on a slide for some of these things, and I just have my contact info on our slide, so I'll share that at the end.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I was gonna do some, yeah, but it's easier to just show you guys. So awesome. Thank you for checking though. So the next tool is something called sensation tracking. And this is how we actually feel an emotion. Humans are meant to have a range of emotions all of the time. We are emotional beings. And what I want for you is to be able to connect your mind and body so you can feel your feelings. Um, we know that we aren't totally feeling all our feelings if we're happy all the time, or if we're sad all the time, or even if we're just even kill all the time. But it's also something that we weren't ever really taught. So I'm going to teach you as much as I can in the next few minutes. But we know that we can't process emotions simply on the level of the mind. And we also can't just simply push through the emotions and suppress them. Those, like I was saying earlier, those emotions get stuck in our bodies and take up our energy when we don't process them, whether we are conscious of that or not. And if the body experiences emotion, then the body needs to heal and process that emotion. And talking through it, like there's a time and place for talk therapy, but going and talking only about a situation or a thing will only get you so far. I know this because this is my own journey, and I love my therapist. I still have a therapist, and it is amazing. But there also comes a point to where you need to go into the body, um, because on a cellular level, your body experiences life and the hardships of life, and so we need to connect the mind and the body and to teach us how to actually feel the emotion and what's going on in the body. Um, and like I was saying earlier, sometimes when we do start this work and we start to feel our feelings, we do start to become very activated or triggered, and that is completely normal. That is when I want you to orient and use that tool. Um, but we're also becoming more activated because we're actually feeling what's going on in the body and not just feeling it in your brain. So how do we feel feelings? We track our sensations and we get to know how our body feels feelings. And this is like everybody is different in how we feel it. Um, so when we go into our body, and if you want to play along with me right now, go into your body. And when I do this, I usually put my hands over my body where I'm feeling like any type of discomfort. And we ask ourselves, like, where in the body am I feeling a feeling? If you're feeling one currently right now. If you're not feeling anything, maybe try to think about something you're working through right now. Maybe you have a big presentation or a big meeting at work, or you have a lot of things to do. Like, just start to think about that, and then take a few moments, maybe wiggle it out, but like see and try to notice where you feel it. Um, and I ask you to put your hand over where you feel that sensation just so you can notice it. I feel a lot of my like anxiety and stress in my chest, particularly on my right side. So that's why I'm putting it over here. But for other people, it may be chest, it may be in your throat, it may be in your stomach, the back of your eyes, your head, where it can be anywhere. Just I want you to get in the process, or in the habit of just noticing where you feel certain emotions and just track the sensations. Because that alone is a shift and really helps catch the mind up with the body. Yes, we are experiencing something here and it's not completely everywhere. It's just here, or it's just here, but it's not on my elbow or whatever. So sensation tracking is first finding where that emotion is in your body. The second thing we want to see if it has a temperature. Asking and going and actually really asking, like, okay, is it warm? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it cool? Just want to explore to see if there's a temperature with it. The next thing we ask is there a shape or color to it? How big is it? What does it look like? If we can like connect with that. For me, mine's like a very tight feeling in the chest and it's kind of like radiating out like a star, right? So it's not like super big, but it's just kind of small. And what we're doing is we're putting words to a sensation, and that sensation is coming from an emotion. So again, we're naming it and we're tracking the feeling in the body, and that is helping to create the mind body connection and becoming embodied. So, like I said, We want to find where it is first, see if it has a temperature, see if it has a shape, see if it has a color to it. And then we're just going to be with that feeling. We're not going to try to rush it or make it go away. We're just simply being with the actual sensation in the body. The mind will try to make it go away and will want it to go away. And your thoughts may still be swirling, if especially if you haven't oriented before doing this, it may be harder to track, but you can feel it. And then once you've kind of set with it for a little bit, you get to ask yourself, okay, on a 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the intensity of what you're feeling? If it's a 6 or less, then I want you to stay with it and just be with it. If it's a 7 or higher, then that's when we listen to our body, we come out of it. If it's too intense, we orient, then we go back, we use the tool of orienting. So we can help create that safety in our body. We always need to be letting our body take the lead. And if it feels too intense, then we just drop it. We don't want to re-traumatize our body. So say for me, it's less than a 7 right now. So I'm just going to be with it a bit longer. And when you're doing this, you may feel that the feeling is changing or moving, or it's going from here to here. It's not uncommon for the emotion to move. That's helping you process that emotion. The intention of this is not necessarily to process the emotion. The intention is just tracking it to see what emotion feels like in your body and to start to know your body more. But if we're staying with it for a bit, it may move, move around, and it may start to track it. And again, we're just putting words to what it is that we're feeling. We're just connecting the mind, which understands those words, to the sensations in the mind, in the body. And again, it's all about that mind-body connection and helping us. And when we do that, that helps us to become more embodied. And embodied is where we want to be. That's where our intuition lives. That's where we get our creative downloads from. It's where we feel confident. It's where we're able to be more grounded and move through situations differently. Like more is available to us when we're regulated, when we're embodied. It's how we get the most juice out of our day. So I'll pause to check any questions. Awesome.
I have a big pulsating heart right now. So is it because of the next presentation? I don't know. But
Yeah. So I would definitely invite you to orient and also, like we were just said, like sit with this and just kind of like be with it and like let it, if it doesn't feel too intense. If it feels too intense, orient first. But if you can sit with it and and become embodied, um, it does help move the emotion through. And of course, you're still going to feel nervous before a presentation and all of that. Like that's totally normal. We're not going to completely wipe that away. But the more and more we use these tools, the more grounded we're able to be, and the more capacity we have for the nervousness, for the excitement, for the fear, whatever it is, right? So completely normal. I invite you to orient before your next presentation, because it is helpful. And of course, the more and more you do that. So the other last tool, and this is kind of the third step in your nervous system practice. So we have orienting and we have sensation tracking now. And now this is containment. And containment is something you can do while orienting and sensation tracking. And as you saw, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but as you saw, I was putting as I was tracking my sensations in my body, I was giving myself support. And this is super simple. What we want to do with containment is we want to use our hands. And so I was saying my area is here. Sometimes it's like here when I'm activated, but you just want to hold and apply either light pressure or medium or a lot. You just get to play with it, your pressure. And it also depends on how you're feeling that day, because some days you may want a lot of pressure, some days you may not want. But just holding the area that's feeling that discomfort. And that's simple, that's containment. This is supporting your body. I like to think of it as the type of support you wish you potentially had when you were a child or from early adulthood, if this is a pattern that continues to show up. And for me, this is a pattern that I see all the time. This is my go-to area for when I'm feeling like stress or anxiety. So you just want to put your hand wherever you want to, wherever your hands want to go and wherever they want to be, wherever you want to feel supportive, and ask yourself, does this feel good? And if so, awesome. Then you just get to be with yourself, and you just get to stay here for as long as you want, for as long as you need. You get to do that. And if it doesn't feel supportive, then we take our hands away and we don't do anything with our hands. Containment is all about just using touch of the area that needs support and giving it that felt sense of support. And again, all of this is like giving your body a hug and that support, and being able to give yourself that support. You're not having to ask for anyone else's help here. You can. It is helpful to get connection and touch from other people or a hug, but if you're not able to in the time, then you can give yourself that support and use containment for that. So again, when we feel emotion and start to connect the mind and body as one, containment could just be using your hands for support. It can also be use containment on other areas of your body to just ground you. And that is containment. And like I said, I think the only other thing is some days you may want touch and some days you may not. It just all depends on what you're looking at and what feels supportive. And then the last thing that I just want to share with you guys is there is another like tool. Like I said, there was 4 of them but the other one we're not able to get into because it's better with either a very small group or one-on-one. But it is also just starting to get to know your own unique nervous system better and identifying what patterns show up, where your typical spots are that you feel emotion. Like I know mine because I've done so much work to know where some of these recurring patterns and things are and how they show up in my body. And when we know where they show up, we can know what to do with them. It's like, oh, sweet, that's that pattern again. This is where anxiety shows up in my body. I know what to do with that. I need to orient, or I need to give myself support. And then we use those tools. And so as you're going about your day, as you're going about your week, maybe get a little bit more familiar with where some of the emotions are just starting to show up in your body. What is number 2 called? Number 2 is it was sensation tracking. So the 3 tools are orienting, sensation tracking, and containment that we went over. Be provided and listed in the chat. That's a question for women accelerators. I can certainly type something up and provide some tools or resources to you guys. I don't know if Women Accelerators is able to send, if I'm able to email you if you want that, or like I said, you can also email me too. And so I see Amba giving.
Yeah, we can definitely email it out, Ashley, if you'd like.
Awesome, cool, thank you, Amba. So yes, I will share with Women Accelerators, and they will get you all of these tools so you have them and have something easy to refer back to, because I know this is a lot in a short amount of time, so I completely understand that. And so the last thing I want to just mention is these tools aren't one and done. You do have to use them for this to work over and over again, but they're simple. They don't take a lot of time. Part of the key is just remembering to use them. So write them down. I'll share a cheat sheet with you. Put them on Post-it notes. Practice them even when you're not feeling stressed or activated. And like I said, I invite my clients to do this daily, whether they're feeling stressed and overwhelmed or have a big meeting, or even when they're not triggered or stressed or activated. I do this myself regularly throughout the day. I orient, I give myself support, the containment all the time. I track the sensations. Like I do that just regularly throughout the day, because it's all about taking that time for yourself and giving yourself and your body that support and that time out for yourself. Because again, it's just, connecting and finding safety in our body. Before we get into any last minute questions, I did want to share my screen. Let's see if we can do this. share my desktop first. Let me pull this up. So there's that, but I wanted to share my contact information with you guys if you're interested in doing one, have any questions or learning more about any of this stuff. Feel free to connect with me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I have a website, I have an email. It's all here. Feel free to write it down. And if you're if this piqued your interest and you want to go deeper into this, well, this is only one piece of the work that I do with my clients, but feel free to connect with me. This is what I love, helping my clients truly thrive in their lives and feel more confident and do things that are fulfilling and aligned, and live in a way that live in and work in a way that is on their terms. So feel free to go to my website, sign up for my weekly newsletter. Feel free to book a discovery call. You can do that on my website as well. For all of you who attended, I'm offering 10% off of my services until the end of August if you schedule a call with me. Or if you just have questions, reach out. I'm always helpful. I'm always happy to help. And then the last thing, last thing I just wanted to say is write down something that you're taking away from today. Post it somewhere that you'll see it regularly. Do something with it. But yeah, do you have any questions? Any questions? Any other questions? I know we've kind of covered a lot through the chat. Cool. Oh, yeah, Laura.
Ashley, and this might be too big of a question for, I know we only got a couple of minutes, but so I actively like work to slow down in terms of like daily meditations and like years and years of work body scans to help myself. But I find that I still have a really hard time when I'm interacting with people that are subscribing to hustle culture and demanding and just very much absorbing that anxious energy. So do you have any recommendations for that, like kind of the stuff that's outside of you when you're interacting with others?
Yeah. So that's the awesome thing about doing some of these tools, and meditation and body scans are amazing. Like that was my first foray into all of this. And I, and that helped me go about my day calmer and helped me be able to react to people differently as well. But the piece I was missing there was the nervous system, was being in my body and being truly embodied, and some of these tools that we talked about today, and being regulated. So I have found there's no, like, my answer is not going to be sufficient for you right now, and especially with only a couple of minutes. But what I found is, as I did these tools, as I used them daily, I was able to, one, expand my capacity for whatever is happening around me, but also protect my own energy when I'm in an environment when there is a lot of people who, yes, like you said, are hustling or working a lot, and to the extent that's in an unhealthy way, and all of that. So the more I became regulated, the more embodied I became, and the more I was able to notice that and being able to check myself in the moment. Also, co-regulation is a thing. Like, the more embodied you are, and what I mean by co-regulation is, like, people will feel your own energy. The more embodied and regulated you are, people will feed into that. And likewise, like, the more dysregulated you are, people will feed into that and pick up on that. And unknowingly to them, they will also maybe mirror some of that as well, right? So my advice to you, which is not a short-term fix, is to use some of these tools and getting more into your body. And I hear you on doing a lot with the meditation and the body scans, but adding some of this to your tools and then doing some of this work, on your own or with a coach or with somebody else who can support you, also is helpful to just being witnessed in that way. But yeah, maybe not the most satisfying answer, but it is like putting some of these tools into practice and doing and seeing how and noticing how you start to interact differently as you put more and more of these tools. So hopefully that's helpful, Laura.
Thank you. I really like the co-regulation. That's a great concept.
Yeah, that's, and it's so amazing. And I teach a lot of these tools to my clients, and they'll turn around and teach them to their kids, and like that's the thing, they'll start, I mean, obviously kids are still going to be kids, but like they pick up on that too. Like your kids will pick up on it, and they will be in a more grounded state sometimes as well. So so it also talks more, it works with other human beings, whether they're adults or kids too. So I think there's a question, I think it's for
Yeah.
women accelerators, about your guys' leadership coaching program.
Yeah, before I jump into that, I just wanted to say thank you, just echoing Shruti's thoughts. Thank you so much, Ashley. We really appreciated your session. It was so helpful. And I know what I have on my little post-it, so I'm gonna take something back. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
And thank you, Shruti, for organizing this as well. And I don't know who's on the Galaxy Note, but yeah, so our leadership coaching program is also on our website. And I think Susu dropped a link to it right up top. If you'd like, I'm just going to redrop it back here so that you can kind of get a little bit more information on the program. And as someone who went through the program last year, it literally changed like something that I thought I wouldn't change about my career direction. So Kim is amazing. We met weekly. We had, I don't want to call it homework, but we had coaching work to do on our own and then come back to the session. So it's really great. And I'd love to speak to you, whoever's on the Galaxy Note. If you'd like to catch up with me after the call, I'm happy to drop my info as well. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Mhm.